The markets are running hot to start off a big week. We have inflation data later on Friday. We see crypto is absolutely ripping today. Bitcoin over 47K. My goodness, you love to see it. We'll be discussing all of that and much more today on Money Never Sleeps. Welcome back, everybody. Mr. House, you are right. We are so back. Excited to be here with you today. As we get going, do us a favor, hit that like button. If this is your first time watching, subscribe to our channel. If you've watched multiple times but haven't subscribed, what the hell is even going on at this point? Nothing that Kevin or I say is financial advice, so please do your own research before making any buys or sells. Kevin, I'm surprised that I'm not seeing you out there with Ben Armstrong holding that sign to approve the ETF. You're staying nice and warm inside your home there. What is your thought? How are you viewing things today? Our resident bear, how are you feeling about the state of the market?
Man, I sent out a tweet a few minutes ago about me pretty much calling out bears. And the only reason I'm calling out any bears right now is because I'm more bearish than them. So they're not being more bearish enough at this point. But right now, I'm actually kind of, I know I'm the biggest bear, right? I think right now I'm a bit bullish though on the crypto market. And here's the reason why. Yes, I'm bullish on the
hold the fucking phone. Did you wait a second? Are you having a stroke? Can we get like a wellness check?
There's a fucking asterisk. Don't worry. There's a big asterisk. But what I'm saying is the ETF. I think it's going to get approved. Now, the problem here is, yes, that means there's probably going to be a mania pump. We talked about this on Friday. It seems like it's going to happen this week. I think that there's a good chance it could happen this week. It could still get delayed. We really don't know. However, the charts are telling me we're due for a good push to the upside. That's why I led with the bearish part. I'm the biggest bear there is. But there's a reason why I think that we're going to see a mania top, and I think it's the ETF, because I was telling you before that after the ETF, you can't. There's nothing you could point to that's bullish in
crypto.
Chat
is calling you out for flipping bullish. I mean, Mr. House, Chris, like, wow, man,
what can I say?
You've changed.
I'm a top, guys. But yeah, I mean, I can give that the Jim Cramer kiss of death seal of approval. I think that we are going to see a bit of a pump up here if we get the ETF. But other than that, I mean, name one bullish catalyst going into 2024 for crypto, at least. I don't know.
Can't find one. The halving. I mean, the ETF. Three right
Biden,
there.
I forgot that Biden, once he wins re-election, he's going to make sure those crypto cheats and all those scammers.
Don't joke about that kind of a thing, please. I mean, then we got Trump talking about magnets. I don't know if you saw that one. God, if we could get like a competent adult in the room, but the debates are going to be pure comedy. Even Jim fears Kevin being.
It's true,
man.
But man. You know who is absolutely wild today on MSNBC? Kathy Wood. Kathy Wood was giving me the old Rudy Giuliani. She was doing the Rudy Giuliani googly eyes, like, we're never going to see a sell-off. And I was like, Kathy, please shut up for like 5 minutes. She was saying that people are expecting a sell-off, like buy the rumor, sell the news event for the Bitcoin ETF, that once there is a sell-off, there might not be, because people are going to price that in already. I'm like, all right, just shut up. This is too much inception.
I'm seeing you're never seeing 45K Bitcoin again tweets already today. And I'm just like, wow, guys, can we calm down, please? Like, I'm not nearly as bearish as Kevin. I don't think we're going down to 9K Bitcoin like he does still. But a nice little pullback would
prepare.
Whatever you say, man. What else? Are we seeing? There wasn't much economic data coming out today. That will be saved for later in the week. I believe Thursday is when we get CPI data, and then like Friday is PPI. I want to say, Thursday is CPI. So that'll be a big one. And we got consumer credit today. I'm curious. That just came out. Let me try to pull that up, and you kind of give me your thoughts on the market right now, and we can see if there's anything interesting in consumer credit.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's just do a TradFi overview right now because there's nothing too crazy today other than the markets are pumping, right? We talked about this last week that everything had seemed like it was going down very fast and the stochastic RSIs really did reset. Now, there was a reason why we could have seen a pump. I think a lot of people are kind of overblowing it with the ETF. Could we see all-time highs for the S&P? Yeah, it's possible, right? We just need another push like we saw today, and we're pretty much right there. But when I'm looking at TradFi, this just seems like to me, if this structure on the on the left side is finished, then we're just starting to form the structure on the right side on the way down, right? And so this could be 5 waves, and that could be wave one of a 5 wave that's part of a macro. I'm not going to get too in depth with it, but the point is, what we are seeing here is we have some room to run up to the upside, and it kind of lined up with both CPI coming out this week, and also we're probably going to see some earnings next week, right? There's a lot of things that are going to be really interesting with those earnings. A lot of these companies are probably in some of these major indexes that aren't going to be doing so well. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is another opportunity to sell from higher, or if anything, trap some more longs and just liquidate everyone on the downside. So when I see, S&P up 1.2% today, 1.95% for the NASDAQ, and then obviously, almost a 0.5% for the Dow, not necessarily doing anything too crazy. The Russell's even up almost 2% today. Is it a big move? Yes, but is it a big move in the grand scheme of things? Not necessarily. I think if anything, we're just looking at filling some gaps that are here and kind of trapping some people. I think it's very possible that we could still sell and drop from an oversold territory. We just need a bad piece of news or some bad earnings. And I think that's going to change the narrative a lot, but we don't have any of that yet. So what excuse is there not to buy the dip for the time being? That's why we're seeing a bit of this rally, I think, today.
Okay. So I'm looking at this consumer credit report, and if I'm reading this correctly, it looks like this is for November. This was the data that came out today, a few minutes ago. It looks like for November, consumer credit passed over 5 trillion for the first time. So congratulations, Mazel Tov there. Absolutely incredible. The health of the consumer. I mean, it
We
couldn't be better.
fucking did it.
We fucking did it, man.
Fucking did it.
This looks totally fine. We're seeing in November seasonally adjusted increase of 5.7%. Revolving credit increased at 17.7%. Good Lord. So if you care about this kind of stuff, it's not the greatest thing in the world if you're not constantly carrying debt and you're probably not minding it too much and you're just fine.
Yeah, man. Credit's fucked. We all know that. I think we all know that there's a huge debt crisis and it's just not the consumer, but globally there's going to be a lot of debt that's going to be being recalled. We know that's in the commercial real estate is getting really frothy there as people are trying to recall some of those loans. I don't know if they're going to get any bids there, but I mean, even if we look over to what's going on in China, I mean, we can take a look at that right now too. That's we got the news that Zhongzhi, that shadow bank, the one that you thought was hilarious, that they went insolvent and then filed for bankruptcy.
The shadow bank that files for insolvency. I love it.
It's amazing. But yesterday was actually, or last night was the first day that they had of trading since they filed for bankruptcy, right? And we could see that there was a massive move down in the market. It was down 1.88%. At one point, it was down much more. It was down, I think, 2.69%. Look at that, 2.69. It was down pretty bad. It didn't get close enough to the point where it was close to breaking 16 and going under into 15 again, like it did back in December. But it still, nonetheless, is a very interesting move that we saw for the Hang Seng, and it tells me that there's probably going to be a lot of assets that are on their liabilities that are probably going to get sold off in some type of fire sale. Now the question is, if those start being sold off, what happens to the rest of the market and any companies that are holding those? Well, they're probably going to try and get rid of them and get as much capital as they possibly can. Now, I just want to pull up the monthly on Hang Seng real quick because we need to be looking at this. And yeah, looks like this is an interesting month, man, for China. And I keep saying this because come this weekend, I think the 13th is the Taiwanese elections. Those are really important. We're already seeing a lot of officials keeping an eye on that. We'll get more information on that, obviously, as the weekend progresses. Not to mention that the U.S. also got their budget approved, right? That happened fairly quick without any hesitation. So that's something to keep in mind, especially keep an eye on some of the defense spending. I think that's something to keep keep an eye on. I'll leave it at that. But Hang Seng is away like literally 1 month away. I mean, come February 1st, this thing is going to be the first ever death cross that it's seen in its history. That's it's a huge milestone. So we'll get ready to play the death cross video for that, unless something drastic happens. But even looking at the SSE composite, which is the Shanghai composite, let's take a look at this on the daily. Pull this up. I mean, it's been having a pretty bad few days too, right? And this is yesterday with Zhongzhi. It's down 1.42%, down 41 points or so. It seems like a lot of things that are going on in China right now are getting worse. And I think a lot of people are getting really bullish. I saw a lot of even analysts in the United States saying that China is in a place where maybe that's a buy this year. And if we look at the Hang Seng, technically speaking, yeah, I kind of agree, right? We're in this parallel channel. It's probably going to break up to the upside at some point. However, if we are just seeing the iceberg, the tip of the iceberg with what's going on there, and there's a lot worse going on, and we know that there's a lot of things that are going to definitely bleed into other parts of the world. I don't know if buying something like this is necessarily the best thing to do right now, or if just waiting to see for confirmation of what's going to happen. For a government right now that's doing a lot of work to keep their economy afloat, I mean, they're doing everything they possibly can. We'll just leave it at that as well. But the other thing is, we know that the consumers, not just in the in China, but in the United States, and that the demand for a lot of these goods that they produce isn't necessarily there anymore. So we need to be cautious of that as well. So I think that right now, looking at China, this is going to be a really interesting week for them. I'm going to keep an eye on their markets going into obviously Saturday, and then next week is going to be a whole other can of worms that we could take a look at. But right now, it is not a good look. First day of trading since that bankruptcy filing, and we know that we got more news on Evergrande coming at the end of the month. Honestly, and that's right around Chinese New Year as well. There's just a lot of stuff coming in the way of Asia this January, and for the markets to be rallying right now in the U.S. seems kind of misaligned.
Do you want to talk about Boeing at all? Have you looked at their chart for the day? Because
I have
that
not. I'm
is
excited now.
that bad boy up. For those who didn't see, did you see the video of this thing? Like the panel that got blown out on the plane while it was in flight?
Just the Alaska flight?
Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't. I didn't.
So Boeing 737s are getting grounded after this to obviously they have to test, make sure they're not gonna have anything happen to it. But if you want to pull up the chart, Boeing was getting smoked earlier today, and
Damn.
I'm expecting they still probably are.
Yep.
Yeah,
I mean,
they'll
they
do
bounced back a little bit, but
I
that's
mean,
a big gap.
still, that's a huge fall on the day.
Let's say they closed here. And they opened up right around here. They dropped 8.49% right at market open. Significant move. But yeah, I mean, I guess bad news is bad news, guys. If your windows or your doors fly open on your planes and you get a recall, it's probably not going to be good for your earnings.
It wasn't even the door, dude. Like the panel from the plane like got ripped off. Like
Oh my gosh,
that's crazy.
I'm cool.
Anyway,
No one got hurt, right?
thankfully, thank Christ, no one was sitting in that seat. Like that is just, man.
Yeah, but it's not a good look, especially when people are running out of money. And I'll just say that as the stockholder and stuff like that. So as soon as they probably saw something like that, they're like, "Oh no, this is like Jim Cramer pretty much saying, I can't wait to fly the next Boeing Airlines after seeing that video or something like that." So sell off here makes sense. The other thing that's kind of interesting right now too is oil, and we were talking a little bit about this before the show, but oil is back at around $70 in that range. Where the hell did I got it somewhere. We'll talk about Nvidia too, because I know you're going to rub it in my face at some point. But
I wasn't going to say anything. I'm just sitting here Scrooge McDucking it. Like I wasn't going to bring it up. Like I'm sitting here, popcorn in hand, enjoying the ride up.
You can go back to my tweets.
518 now. Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah. Isn't someone excited?
Holy shit. Oh my God.
You can go back to my,
yeah, I'm going to need a minute.
Go back to my Nvidia tweets. I said that I think that the height for 2023 would be put in before the end of the year. I'm okay as of right now. Still FUCKED at some point. Not today. Your bags are safe for now. But let's look at U.S. oil. Obviously, we were anticipating this three-way move to the upside, right? A, B, C. We got rejected, right? So now we have to ask ourselves what's going on here. There's two things that could possibly happen. We could say, okay, maybe we have a little bit further down to go, and we could get something like maybe this, where we come back to 68 or so at some point, and then we get another rally. Maybe we get closer to 76, and we just have a flat correction, ABC correction, and then we continue our wave down. But the thing that's really interesting right now is we're trying to chart something that sometimes the charts just you can't account for, and demand is a really important thing that we need to remind ourselves. And that was the other thing I was getting upset with bulls, seeing that they're saying higher for longer, the Fed isn't going to cut until Q3 and shit like that. Yeah, but that's also because you guys are anticipating that inflation is still a problem. Inflation is not a problem. It's probably the least of our worries. I don't care whatever supply chain issues, we might have inflated prices in some goods for a period of time, but if the demand is not there to meet it, then the price won't be there at that level for a period of, it won't be sustained to impact the consumer as much as it would have been back when we actually had discretionary spending to buy some of these goods, right? So when I'm looking at oil here, there's a couple of things we need to keep in mind. First off, we know that manufacturing has been, in a decline for some months now. I think it's been 14 months straight of just contraction in manufacturing. It went up last month, but it went up by like zero point 0.2, I think, points on the ISM. Not necessarily something that's very convincing that we're back. I think that if anything, that just shows you that we're still extremely weak, but the holiday season, seasonality obviously played a factor in manufacturing going up just a little bit in December. Now, when we look at it here, we know that a lot of the services sector does rely on oil. I mean, just think about the travel, talk about, flights, anything where people are pretty much just going for leisure and, taking advantage of humans in some way where they're going to be seeing them at, hotels or, in the travel industry. That's all services sector. And if that starts to contract and people aren't spending money, and now that the holiday seasons are over and they don't need as many employees probably on hand and oil continues to drop, that shows you demand's dropping. You're probably going to see contraction in the services sector. I wouldn't anticipate that that kind of lines up with unemployment going up in some of those sectors. Because again, we know that most of the employment numbers, jobs added, were government jobs. They weren't necessarily jobs in the private sector, right? That was something that we got from both ADP and also the unemployment numbers on Friday. So when I see oil continuing to go down here, if we don't get a bid back up above, if we don't bounce off $68 or so, or we don't get push up to, the 200 EMA, I'm convinced that we're probably going to start seeing a sharp fall off for oil. And that's a scary thing to say because that means demand is absolutely dried up. And the U.S. economy is probably going to see a deep contraction at some point. And if we do see that, that means that obviously unemployment is going to be rising in the months to come. So there's a lot you can tell from the oil, the price of oil and how that's going to impact the global market in both the U.S. and just trade in general and other parts of the world. But that's the most important thing I'm seeing with this price here. If we don't see that demand come back, then we're kind of screwed. I say in a few months or so, we could go back to seeing oil back in the 60s, maybe even high 50s by, I don't know, March, April at that point. It's going to be really interesting to see how demand plays in a key factor here in the next few weeks to months.
All right, let's look at Nvidia now, so you can eat your L live on camera.
So I feel like this is Step Brothers, and you're trying to make me eat the white dog shit.
White dog shit. You're gonna lick it.
I don't wanna. Yeah, megaphone pattern, all-time high. Congrats if you're holding Nvidia. You cheated. I'm just kidding. You didn't cheat. You were an all-star. You held. You got balls of steel. There you go. Up 5.64% today.
Hands right here. Diamonds.
Diamond hands.
Yeah. New all-time high, baby. Woo!
All-time high, 518.70. Just hit it. Oh, 518.80. 85. Oh, it's all-time high as we speak.
Watch it. We're going to close at 520.
520. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, this upper trend line, obviously it likes flirting with it, right? It seems like it's flirted more with the upper trend line than it has this bottom one here. It hasn't touched it too much. I mean, last time we touched this was Halloween and it bounced right off of it. I think the low was in the 300s. Yeah, 392 perfectly. Bounced right off of it. Went all the way up to about 503 in a matter of 16 days. So obviously a rally like no other in the equity market. But Nvidia, yeah, I mean, there's nothing you can really say about this, man. It's been rallying like crazy. It's at a key level of resistance that it's been for a while. It's obviously all-time highs as we speak right now. The question is, are we going to see some of those targets being pushed? Because, a lot of MSNBC and analysts, people, even Bloomberg, been saying 650. That's the price target for NVIDIA this year. Is the demand there?
Oh God!
And let's say this: say things
Don't
get
talk dirty
complicated.
on camera like that, Kevin.
Uh, I mean, I'm not trying to fluff your pillow or anything like that. I'm just trying to say that's what these idiots are saying. And the thing I'm saying about this is there's a lot of things that we got to keep in mind. I think geopolitics play a pretty good role in the future of NVIDIA. And arguably one of the biggest things that it could be happening in the world is happening this week with the elections. Let's see how this affects going forward. Obviously, the shipping of some of these, because we know that the U.S. loves to restrict any sales to China. So we'll see how this plays out. But as for right now, I mean, all-time high. I mean, there's nothing that can be said about this. Markets are rallying. It pulled back not too much. It had a bit of a double top here, and it said, "Fuck the double top. We're going to go for one more higher." It did, and that's really all that can be said about Nvidia at this point. I mean, all-time highs. Here we are. The market looks like it still has some room to the upside for the next few days. So could it go higher? Possibly. Maybe 550 is the next target for Nvidia.
God, beautiful. You love to see it. All right, let's touch on crypto a little bit. We got to see Bitcoin. On this rally, the speculation that the ETF will be approved on Wednesday is what I keep hearing. And if that's the case, maybe we do see it starting to trade on Friday. Like people, I don't know, man. I don't know what to think. It's going to be this is just a great time to kind of be relaxed. Like I personally love the situation I'm in, like where I'm holding my long-term stuff. I made a big conviction play at 19.5K Bitcoin back in 2022, and I'm just comfortably enjoying the ride up there. So it's going to be fun to see how this all plays out over the coming days, weeks, months.
Yeah, I mean, let's put it this way. I'm sitting on cash right now. I mean, I have my positions in TradFi and stuff like that, but in general, I'm sitting on cash. There's nothing I feel safe doing right now with crypto. I don't want to buy in here because if I buy in here, I'm a fool just because of how much it's rallied, right? I mean, I'm not going to sit comfortably in a position if that happens. But also at the same time, it's like, do I want to short this? Is it worth it? Good scam pump. We know that any of these alts, I mean, the exchanges can go down. There's so much that could honestly happen. It's a dangerous place. So I'm very happy sitting in cash right now. I just let the market come to me. I still believe that we're going to see 10K or sub 10K Bitcoin, even if it's a wick, one little wick. We just got 97.50. Be happy with that. But for the time being, let's take a look at what's important here. Bitcoin dominance is at 54.45%. Last time we saw this height was back in December, right? And this is I mean, even this is the exact height where it was back in October 20, Wednesday, the 25th of October. So that would have been 2 days after that massive 3,000 something $100 pump that we saw. And everyone was saying that everyone's excited about the ETF. No, thank you, Tether. We saw how much you guys printed billions of USDT and then the market pumped miraculously like the next hour. So we know that there's a lot of that's going on. But right now, seeing where Bitcoin dominance is, it's had a great stranglehold on a lot of alts, right? And I was going through everything last night, and we'll take a look at Bitcoin first, and we'll go into the alts, but taking a look at everything, and it seemed like we were primed for a good push to the upside. I mean, we're seeing a great push today. It's $3,000 up, shot all the way up to 47. What was it? 47,248.99. My prediction was that we were going to get to $50,000 flat and then add 1 cent. And that was going to be the Binance middle finger because they love to do everything to the penny. And I thought that was going to be the top of the market. Could push a little bit higher here if we do get that mania top. But it seems like we're getting a lot of this money coming in before the actual news, which tells me that once that news does hit, it's going to be like this. I mean, it's going to just be flapping back and forth. It's going to be, I mean, it's nothing. I mean, it's just going to be the most volatile moment you're going to see. If there was a VIX,
man.
exactly. Like, how can you trade that? You can't. You're going to see institutional players just absolutely dump on the market. Then you're going to see people flood in and be like, buy the fucking dip. It dipped $200. Buy it. And they're going to do it. And then it's going to come back down. Buy the dip again. It worked last time. And they're going to do it again. And then they're going to do it again. And it just seems like where we're going to be because retail is at that place where people who probably shouldn't be giving advice about crypto are telling their family members, yo, should buy this Bitcoin thing. It's going to be huge. There's an ETF coming out. Trust me. and then they're going to look like geniuses when it gets approved, and they're going to look like assholes 6 months from now when it's fucking worth, $22,000 or something. So that's the place where we are. We're at mania. $47,000, and we haven't looked at this in a while. But let's look at the volumes for Bitcoin. All right, pretty good on the daily, recently. But if we zoom out, that's not a bull market. Look at this. You can't even. I have to pull this up. I can't even pull it up. It's tiny, guys. I mean, this is where we were back in November, even March of 2023 when the banking crisis happened. I mean, the
Yeah, so
fall
you're
off.
telling me that this is, we're seeing this kind of pump, and that's even before the volume really gets going. So just wait. I mean, 200K Bitcoin by end of the year. Watch out.
I'm telling you, every single green straight line up you see here is 100% a stable coin that was printed out of thin fucking air, out of fairy dust and fairy farts that just shot the price up. And all of these exchanges are just manipulating the price like crazy. This is
Fairy farts. What the hell, Kevin?
well, I mean, look, it looks like half of the Burj Khalifa looks like half the Magic Kingdom of Disney or whatever that bullshit is. But it's what's shooting the price up, guys. There's not that much liquidity in this in the crypto market. You could say there is, but again, try and redeem that shit from the Tether Treasury or USDC from Circle all at one time. You do it on the exchanges, it's going to depeg these stable coins. That's why I still think this is extremely dangerous, and we're probably going to see the price volatility just absolutely flap its gums back and forth for the next 2 weeks or so, especially once this ETF gets approved. This is going to be a very dangerous place in the market. Let's look at some of these alts because they had some really good runs up, and you can see it here. It's just everything is kind of consolidating. But if we look at this on the no, we can look at it on the daily, right? So we're looking at this and we're seeing, okay, where are the wave counts for another move up? You can see that we had one wave up, one wave down, third wave up, fourth wave down, and we were waiting for a fifth wave in Ethereum. So I still think it's possible we could see a little bit higher of a push, 25 to 2,600 for Ethereum. Let's look at XRP. Actually, XRP is a bad one. That chart's so ugly because of all the freaking SEC bullshit that happened this year. But let's look at Cardano. I mean, this is a really clean one. I mean, that's wave one right there. Let me see if I can get the 5 waves. Wave one, wave two, wave three, wave four. Wave four can't go lower than wave one. So as long as it stays above there, we can see a wave 5 that pushes up a little bit higher. I mean, Cardano could be at 75 cents, even 80 cents if it really wants to. I'm not saying it's going to, but with mania and how fast and illiquid these markets are, I wouldn't be surprised. And again, if we look at the daily stochastic RSI, 0.49 and 0.16, like these things are just primed to go to the upside. Matic, another one that's in a really interesting spot. Obviously, ugly chart. I don't really want to even chart this. It looks like it's came down significantly, but oversold on the daily stochastic RSI. AVAX is one that we can definitely chart here. You can say, go A, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And as long as they don't go below this wave one, which is around $25, I mean, this thing could pump once again up to 50. It could even pump to like $60. I'm not saying it's going to, but again, it's very possible with these mania tops. It's going to be very fast. I anticipate it to be a massive wick up, and then the corrective pattern is going to start slowly after. But that's what I'm seeing for crypto. I think that there is a pretty good chance we could start to see everything kind of blow off fairly soon into a blow off top for a lot of these alts. This would be our last chance. This is the last squeeze I think that is coming for the market. And let's take a look at the funding rates real quick before we head out, because the funding rates are kind of set up for a bit of a short squeeze. I mean, seems like people are still squeezing the shit out of alts, and I wouldn't necessarily be doing anything in the market right now. When I look at both, the charts and everything, I press the same damn button. Stupid. All right, here we go. One of these days I'll get it right. There we go. All right, here's the funding rates. You can look at some of these exchanges. Like obviously, Binance is fairly neutral. I think this is a lot to do with people who are longing as opposed to shorting. So we'll see things that are, neutral or positive. Don't worry about what's in the white. The green is what you kind of want to see. You can see that there's a good squeeze coming in for Binance, probably because Binance, both Binance and OKX and all these other exchanges is being shorted. That could bring us to that $350 level that we talked about, which means it would reverse everything that the SEC caused Binance to drop in value this entire year. You can look around, see where else we got. or I don't know what ORDI is. Solana looks like it's negative on OKX. DYDX, it's nothing. But the fact is, we're not seeing as much red as we did a few days ago, right? And it's only on a very few small exchanges. The important ones are obviously Binance and OKX. Those are going to be the ones that are going to see most of the volume come in on regardless. But to me, I'm looking at some of these smaller coins. I mean, just all these negative ones and even just positive. If it's positive right now, it makes total sense. We know that there's an ETF most likely coming. People are betting on that. But the problem is, if we do get, if the ETF does come and, some of these are being shorted, it's going to liquidate them to the upside when the moves straight up. So we're in a very, very dangerous place in the crypto market. I think it's very exciting to be watching this without any skin in the game. But I honestly hope the ETF gets approved sooner than later, right? Nothing else you can say. You can't say, "Oh no, it's coming. It's coming." Well, it's here.
It's rapidly approaching. Maybe this time Wednesday we're talking about how it was approved, and throughout the week we have that mania continues to ramp up. Like once I see certain people starting to talk about it, then I know that we'll be near the top. It's going to be perfect timing. Your friends who have never bought crypto are going to see this ETF news, and they're like, "Well, I guess it's okay to buy it now." And then they hit that buy order, and boom goes the dynamite. So it's going to be a fun week, man. I'm excited. Like it's been, the end of the year is always kind of boring. Like there's not too much going on, but now the real shit is going to hit the fan. So make sure to tune in throughout the rest of this week and beyond. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Thank you for joining us, everybody, especially House, Chris. Appreciate you guys for jumping in on the conversation. If you have not yet liked today's show, subscribe to the channel, share us out on social, comment, all of that good stuff is appreciated. Have an awesome day, everyone. Stay safe in the markets, and we'll see you next time.
Take care, everyone.